everyone is different, and we're free to make our own choices about how we live and what is healthy for us. But sometimes, a traumatic event, lots of stress, or an illness or disability that may get worse over time can make living our lives more difficult to manage. Like mess in a room, self-neglect can build up slowly, so it's hard to pinpoint exactly when it becomes a worry. Shame also builds up and can make it harder for people to ask for help. Here are a few things that you can look for in yourself or someone you know that are signs that things have started to get out of control. Have any important appointments or medications been missed? Has there been a change in their usual appearance? Has there been a noticeable change in mood or usual routines, like not wanting to go out or see people? Is there enough food in the house to make a meal? Or is the fridge empty or full of food that's gone off? Have alcohol and drugs, or even the amount of time spent online, become more of an issue recently? Some people who self-neglect will try to build self-esteem by looking after things or even animals. Perhaps the home is now so full of things and/or animals that they don't want people to see how they live, or it's become difficult or even dangerous to live in. Does the house need major repairs? There may be times when someone loses their ability or mental capacity to make their own decisions, or is unable to take steps to protect themselves, but there is a wide range of support available. If you are worried about yourself or someone else, we know it may be difficult to do, but it's important to reach out and ask for help and advice as early as possible, even if you don't think they are currently ready to accept help. When you reach out, you will be listened to, and we will work with you at your own pace, based on what you want to happen. So please, don't wait. Get in contact today.